Hi, and welcome to Stress Busters. I am Dr. Keisha Moore of Life and Focus Coaching, and I help female business owners and professionals create more time and more energy so that you can increase your income and increase your impact on the world. I am also the host of an amazing Facebook community. The community is called Purpose, Passion, and Power. And this is a free Facebook group for women who are business owners and who are professionals and who want to create a career and a life that you love. So if that sounds attractive to you, I've included a link in the description right there, so you can click on the link and you can join right away. There are amazing people there. We'd love to meet you and add you to our community. So that's who I am. I'd love to hear who you are. If you're already on the line, please do type in your name so I can say hi. For those of you who will be watching on the replay, hello. It's so great to have you here whenever you can fit us into your day. So thank you for joining us. Now, we're going to continue our discussion about the relationship between money and happiness. And we're going to talk about how the way that you spend your money can either increase your happiness or decrease your happiness. So all month we've been talking about, and we will continue to talk about, this relationship between money and happiness. And we're doing a countdown of the 5 biggest things that we can do with our money to increase our happiness. So this is the second week of the countdown. So now we're on principle 4, which is the 4th thing that you can do to increase your happiness with your money. And so the answer is already in the title. It is to pay now and enjoy later. And I'll explain that to you in a little bit. But I also want to alert you to some other fabulous resources that I've prepared for you to help you in developing money savvy and to increase your income and your happiness. So the first one, I'm really excited that I have the money coach, Lynette Kalfani-Cox. So you've probably seen her on Oprah. She's been on Dr. Phil, Good Morning America, a whole host of shows. And she will be joining us live in our Facebook group for an exclusive training for female entrepreneurs. So the name of the training is Money Rules. She's going to be talking about the money rules, and she's going to talk about how we can own our power and build our wealth. So I know you want to be there. If you click on the link to join the group, you can participate in the conversation live. It's this Wednesday, so you want to do that now so that you can get in on the conversation and ask any questions that you have for the money coach. Also, when you join the group, I have a great guide that I've created just for you. It's called Focus on Success. And this guide is your roadmap to growing a profitable business in a way that is efficient and not stressful, right? So I kind of help you get your goals in the fastest and least stressful way possible. That's my signature thing. That's what I focus on, how to help people accomplish their goals without stress and very quickly. So this guide is prepared for people who either already own businesses or are thinking about owning business. And so it applies my unique formula to goal setting to the business arena. So please do download that link, click on the link, join the group, and download your roadmap to success. All right. So I want to start by asking you a question. So what if I told you that I could give you this fabulous gift that you've always wanted and you can take it home with you now and you pay for it later? Would that be attractive to you? Would you say yes? Yeah, right? Most of us would be like, yes, finally, give it to me. We want it now. And I understand that feeling. I would probably be very tempted to say yes as well. But I want to let you know that that structure of that offer is actually designed in a way that will reduce our happiness and increase our stress. And I'll explain it to you more over our conversation over the next few minutes. But It's a very popular offer. Like, we see it all the time. Take it home today, no money down, pay later. But the interesting thing is that when we don't pay in advance, when we pay for it later and we take it home now, we're actually lowering our enjoyment of that thing. Even if it's the most fabulous thing that we totally have always wanted, it lowers our happiness with the thing that we are taking home, and it increases our stress over time. And I'll explain to you why that is. So the first principle that we need to understand to kind of understand why spending our money in this way lowers our happiness is that anticipation is a core part of happiness. So all experiences can be divided into 3 phases. So there's the anticipation before you get it, there's the actual experience of it, and then there's the memory of it. So after you have it, you can remember what a great, wonderful experience that was. Now, the key is understanding that anticipation is the biggest component of happiness. By increasing our anticipation, we not only increase our enjoyment before we get it, but increased anticipation actually increases the enjoyment of the experience, and it increases the enjoyment of the memories. So anticipation is like our superpower for happiness and for it's spending our money in ways that bring us great joy and pleasure. So one of the things that we've seen from all the neuroscience research is that when we are anticipating something, they'll kind of hook us up to brain scans. When we're anticipating something, just those thoughts, those anticipatory thoughts, actually light up the pleasure centers in our brain. So we start to get pleasure. We haven't gotten the thing yet, but just thinking about getting the thing, we're starting to get pleasure from that. And there was this experiment where they were asking adults to every night to just spend a few minutes in the evening kind of thinking about something positive that might happen the next day. It wasn't guaranteed that it would happen, but just think about something positive that might happen. And they noticed that after just 2 weeks of spending just a few minutes in the evening thinking about something positive that might happen the next day, that those adults who did that had a significant increase in their happiness. So spending time thinking about the pleasurable things that the future might hold for us actually makes us happier. And this makes sense to most of us intuitively, because just think about the saying TGIF, thank God it's Friday. Like, woo, people get all super excited. Well, what's so special about Friday? You still have to go to work, you still have to go to school, but Friday, you're thinking about, you're anticipating the weekend and all the fabulous things you're going to do this weekend, or how much good it's going to feel just to relax and not have to get up early. Whatever it is, you're anticipating the pleasure of the weekend, and that's what makes Friday so special. Now contrast that to Sunday, and how many people are starting to feel kind of sluggish and angry, frustrated, depressed on Sunday, even though you didn't have to go to work. You may or may not have had to get up early, but it's like you're anticipating Monday. And I don't want to go to the office, and I know all this work that's waiting for me. And that anticipation of what's going to happen on Monday is actually backing up and changing your experience of Sunday. So the thing about anticipation is it's not good or bad. It just intensifies whatever it is that you're anticipating. So it's kind of like salt, it just brings out the flavor. So if you have something that is going to bring you happiness and pleasure and you're anticipating it, it's going to boost it all the more. So I wanted to share with you one of my practices that I do, on a daily basis when I'm getting ready to end my day and go to bed. One of my practices is to have a gratitude practice where I just review my day and highlight 3 things that I'm grateful for that I experienced that day. So it helps me to be kind of content and appreciative of the life that I already have. And then I do this visioning practice where I think about, a goal that I'm currently working on, and I think of myself as having achieved that goal and accomplished that goal. And what does it feel like? And what am I doing? And who's around me? And how are other people responding to me? And I totally picture that moment. And that envisioning process is creating that anticipatory high. So it's actually boosting your happiness in the moment, even though you haven't yet accomplished and achieved the goal. So that's my little freebie suggestion to you. I'm sorry, I have something in my eye. Forgive me. That's my little freebie suggestion to you, that you can use this anticipatory nature to kind of boost your happiness in the moment. And that's because our future is uncertain, right? We don't know what tomorrow holds for us. None of us do. But the great thing about it being uncertain is that we get to fill in the details. We get to paint it in the way in which we would like for it to go. And because it's uncertain, we're highly focused on it. Like, there's a lot of attention and emotional energy kind of invested in things that are uncertain, that we don't know about. And so when we use the power of anticipating positive things, we're actually filling in those blanks with things that we'd like to see happen, things that we want in our next day and in our future. And that helps us to feel better in the moment that we're in now, even before we get it. So there was this study at, University of Virginia, and they gave people these catalogs, and they said, okay, here's a catalog. We're going to let you pick out 2 small items, small gifts that you would like. And so for one group of people, they told them, okay, you pick out 2 gifts, and this is the one that we're going to give you. So we're giving you one of those 2 gifts, and they'll tell the people which gift they're getting. For the second group of people, they let them pick out 2 gifts, and they said, guess what? We're going to give you both gifts. And then for the third group of people, they let them pick out 2 gifts, and they said, you will get one of them, but they didn't tell them which one that they would get. Now, this experiment shows how powerful anticipation is in terms of focusing our attention, and how much the uncertainty of anticipation, the uncertainty of the future, really boosts our happiness. So it was the third group, the group that did not know which of the 2 gifts they were getting, that looked at the pictures the longest. They spent the longest time kind of enjoying and savoring that moment, and they were happier than the group that got both gifts. So there's one group of people, they got everything they asked for, and there's another group of people that got half of what they asked for, but they wound up being happier. Why is that? Because of the power of anticipation. So it's anticipating the pleasure that gives you kind of even more happiness in the moment. And as I said before, that's because of this kind of uncertainty principle, that it's going to give you a boost in whatever the flavor is. Now, you might be asking, so wait, are you saying that we should always have these positive anticipations? Isn't that just setting myself up for failure and for disappointment? Because what if the next day isn't as great as I'm anticipating it would be? So that's a very good question. I'm glad you asked. And the answer is no. Creating positive anticipations does not increase the likelihood of you being disappointed. It actually creates a self-fulfilling prophecy, which most times increases the likelihood of you having exactly what it is that you're expecting. So you may already be familiar with the idea of the self-fulfilling prophecy, that we get what we expect. And so as you are going into the world, going into the future, what you expect to happen, you act in ways that recreate it, even unbeknownst to you. And so we have these studies where they lead people to believe that the cartoons that they're going to show you in a minute are really, really funny. And the people who are led to believe that, who have a positive expectation, actually laugh more. They enjoy the cartoons more because they are expecting to enjoy them. And that's been replicated in a number of different studies, that when people have expectations, they actually act in ways that kind of bring those expectations into reality. And this is true for positive expectations as well as negative expectations. But guess what? Why not, if you can make tomorrow positive or negative, why not choose to make it positive? Why not choose to make it more of what it is that you want to see in your life? And so, there was the study of, at Stanford University, they had these college students and they gave them these video games that they were get to keep and play. And what they realized is that even having the students think about and talk about what made this video game so special, why they're going to enjoy the game, before they even played the game, just spend a minute talking about why this is such a great game and how much fun it's going to be when you play it, that minute, that moment of anticipation actually increase their happiness and enjoyment while playing the game. And so, this really struck me because I spend lots of money on video games for my kids. And, it's something, they're not cheap. You spend a lot of money on them. And you want to, make sure that they get the most out of it. They really enjoy it. Kind of video games, you can only play it for so long and then it's over and then you want another one. But when I was reading the study, I thought, I'm going to do that. I'm going to, kind of ask the kids before they get to play the game why it's so special, to just boost their happiness and their enjoyment of the game. There was another study that was done with, I'm a big chocoholic, so it was done with Hersheys Kisses and Hersheys Hugs. And so they gave people two conditions. So one group of people could get their kiss, their Hersheys Kiss or their Hersheys Hug, their chocolate, and they could have it immediately. And the other group of people could have it, but they had to come back in 30 minutes to get it. So we found that those who waited 30 minutes actually enjoyed their chocolate more than the people who got it immediately. And not only did they enjoy the chocolate more, but they actually then wanted to buy more of the chocolate. And so this was referred to as the drool factor, right? They spent those 30 minutes kind of anticipating how good this chocolate is going to taste when I get it. And, and they started, you can think about something that you really enjoy and your mouth starts to create saliva, like you start preparing yourself physically for that experience. And so that's what they were doing, and that preparation enhanced their enjoyment of the chocolate, and it enhanced their desire to buy more of the chocolate. So this is something that I'd like to throw out there to my friends, those of you who actually own your businesses, is to think about how can you create this drool factor in your business, right? How can you set up some kind of anticipation that will increase your customers' happiness with the product and make them want more of it? So I think in terms of how businesses that do this, Disney does it great, right? Like they send you, once you, set up your vacation, they're always sending you pictures and announcements of this is what's coming up and this is what you get to do, and you get to pick your bands and you get to pick who you're going to meet, which characters you're going to meet when you're there, and all of these things. So you're constantly just envisioning what a wonderful time you're going to have when you actually get there. So thinking about, maybe you're not a vacation company, but there are ways in which you can give your customers a preview of the fabulous things that they're going to be able to experience once they fully kind of experience your product. So you can think about sending pictures, you can think about sending reviews. Those are some of my ideas. I'd love to hear yours. So yeah, just type them in the box below and let me know what you think might be a really useful way that you could build this drool factor into your business. So let me share with you the second principle, which makes this conversation a little more complicated. So the second principle is that we actually don't recognize that our happiness level increases with delay. We know it does. We have research to teach us our happiness level increases with delay, but we don't know it in terms of how we make decisions. And so we often make choices about our money that are likely to decrease our happiness and increase our stress. And so that's the choice that I set up for you at the beginning of our conversation today, right? If I give you the option to get something that you want right now and pay for it later, would you take it? And you're like, yes, I want it. Give it to me now. But that exact structure is likely to decrease your happiness because it's going to decrease your experience in the anticipatory state, and it's going to increase your stress because it's going to increase the pain that you have to pay in terms of how much money you pay for it and credit and interest and all of those things. So remember the Hershey study that we just talked about with people who are consuming chocolate either now or later? Although in the study we have empirical data that shows us that waiting 30 minutes actually increase your enjoyment of the chocolate, when they asked people to imagine this experiment, people actually imagined that waiting would lower your enjoyment of the chocolate. And so even the people who themselves enjoyed the chocolate after waiting thought that the delay actually lowered their enjoyment. And so this leads us to make choices where we're trying to avoid delay. We want it now because we think delay is going to lower our happiness, when actually the inverse is true. Delay is going to increase our happiness. And so we also are striving to avoid the pain of paying. So paying for things is actually a painful experience. And I love this study that was done by these neuroeconomists at, were they at Stanford? Yeah, they're at Stanford. And they hooked people's brains up to scanners, brain scanners, while they were shopping. So you'd be hooked up to a brain scanner and they'd show you different objects on the computer screen. And so when they showed an object that was a product that people desired, parts of their brain that register pleasure would light up. So it's like, great, they're really enjoying just looking at and thinking about this object. And then they would show the price of that object, and parts of the brain that register pain, like physical pain, would light up. And so it is neurologically experienced as painful to pay for things or to think about paying for things. So, the sticker shock that we often get is a real biological, neurological response to pain. And so we can think about, credit cards as being this way of almost anesthetizing us from the pain of paying, right? We get what we want right now, and we don't have to pay for it until later. So we're kind of avoiding delay, and we're also avoiding the pain of paying. And so it seems to make sense, except it actually doesn't, because it decreases our happiness and it increases our stress. And so, one of the things that we know from research on money and happiness is that there really isn't a relationship between income and happiness. So once you get over the poverty level, there really isn't a relationship between how much money you make and how happy you are. But there is a relationship between debt and happiness. And so the more debt that we have, the more stress people feel, and the more unhappy, the lower our happiness levels. So we know that almost 50% of Americans are reporting that they worry on a regular basis about debt. So it is a major stressor for people in our country. And we also know that in marriages where people have very high levels of debt, that those marriages show much higher levels of conflict within the relationship than those with lower debt. So by taking on this additional debt, by making choices with our money to enjoy it now and pay for it later, we're actually decreasing our happiness, we're increasing the strain in our relationships, and we're also increasing our own kind of emotional stress and pain. So the great news about this, because that's not great news, but I need you to understand it so you can make better choices. The great news about this is that we get a happiness boost by paying down our debt. So because debt is so stressful and wears us down emotionally, when we use our money to pay it down, we get a boost in our happiness. So ideally, we would not accumulate debt, not fall into the pay now, enjoy later. Not fall into the enjoy now, pay later strategy. But even if you have, like most of us have, paying that debt off will actually boost your happiness even more than putting the same amount of money in savings. And that's because debt is experienced as an emotional burden. So, what is it that we should do with our money to make us happier? The hint is right there in the title of our talk. So we should pay now and enjoy it later. That's the financial choice that will give us the most amount of happiness and the least amount of pain. So prepayment is how we maximize our happiness. And one of the interesting things that I know is when I pay for something in advance, like a vacation, and it's all inclusive, and it's already paid for, then when I go on my vacation, I'm just so relaxed and I love it, and I don't ever have to pull out my wallet, and I'm not ever feeling sticker shock, and all of the things that I'm enjoying feel free. Now, they're not free. I've paid for all that food, I've paid for all those drinks, I've paid for all those activities, but I paid long enough ago that it doesn't register to me. I'm not feeling the pain. My parts of my brain that I have to pay aren't lighting up. So I'm not feeling that pain right now. And that's one of the reasons why paying for something in advance allows you, when you're enjoying it, it has separated the enjoyment of the experience from the pain of paying for it, and you get to enjoy it even more. Also, you get to enjoy it even more because you have this built up anticipation phase. And so you're kind of in your countdown mode and you know it's coming, and you're reaping all the pleasure before you even get to the vacation or get to the experience. The other thing that's really helpful about paying now and enjoying it later is that we know when we make those decisions that way, we actually make healthier decisions that are better, that take care of ourselves better. So we make better decisions when we are deciding based on paying it now and enjoying it later than we do in the reverse when we're making decisions about our immediate sense. And so there's some interesting studies around paying for things in cash versus credit card. And when we pay for something in cash, we know we've looked at people who are shopping for groceries. When they are paying cash or using a debit card, they are much less likely to buy things that are unhealthy, to do the impulse buys, the Doritos, the candy at the checkout, right? There's just less of those things on bills where people have paid in cash. And we also see that effect when people use delay. So people who are shopping online for groceries online, we notice that when there's a longer distance in between this is when I've ordered it and this is when it gets delivered. When there's a longer distance between that, people actually make healthier choices. They choose healthier food. They're less likely to have junk food and the impulse buys. And this is, again, all online. And so this happens because when we're making our decisions immediately, we're thinking about our choices differently than when we make our decisions kind of in the long term. And so when we're making immediate impulse choices, we're kind of just thinking about what we want right now. Whereas when we make decisions that are about the future, we tend to make those decisions with our full future in mind, with our values and our goals. And so we're able to make better decisions that do a better job of taking care of us and helping us to be the kinds of people that we want to be. So for so many reasons, it actually works for us to make choices around our money where we get a chance to pay for it now and enjoy it later. And so I want to ask you, what are some of the ways in which you can put that principle into practice in your own life today? How can you use this knowledge around anticipation to increase your happiness and to increase the happiness of others? As I was thinking about this myself and preparing for it, I was thinking about maybe using countdown clocks. So if there's something, we know how excited we get around Christmas or New Year's and just the countdown to this event, but we could count down to anything, to weddings, we can count down to a date. And so having that just as a visual reminder can kind of intensify our anticipation. Or we might do things like, I'm definitely going to ask people when I give them gifts, ask them before they use it to talk with me a little bit about why they're excited about using this gift or how this is going to help them. Like, I just know that will not only increase their happiness, but also mine, because I get a chance to actually hear from them about why this is such a fabulous gift. Maybe thinking about not letting people know what you're going to get them. So those of you who are parents and you have kids, if they give you their list of their top 3 things, their top 5 things, don't give them everything on the list and don't let them know which ones they're getting. Okay, you'll get one of those top 5. That uncertainty will actually increase their happiness and it'll also help you in your wallet. And finally, the last thing that I thought of was layaway, right? I don't even know. We've gotten so far away from layaway because there's so many things with store credit. But layaway is a great way to increase our happiness and also lower our debt, which also gives us a happiness boost. And so, perhaps the next time you go, instead of putting it on store credit, put it on layaway. And increase your happiness by maybe taking pictures of yourself in the outfits. Let's say you're buying some clothes. Take some pictures of yourself in outfits in the dressing room before you put it on layaway. And so then you can look at those pictures every day and it's like, oh yeah, I'm going to look so great when I wear this outfit to this place or that place, or what I'm going to do in it. So that allows you to enjoy it before you actually get it. And like we said, we know that anticipation increases your happiness both before you get it, once you get it, and after you've already experienced it. So for all of those reasons, it is best for us to use our money wisely in ways that will increase our happiness in the short term and in the long term. So it has been a pleasure for me to share these thoughts with you. I am really committed to helping you to live a happy and productive life. I want you to be able to grow your income and to grow your impact on the world, to make a positive contribution to your family, to your communities, and to our world. And so again, I want to remind you about our upcoming training. It's going to be on Wednesday with the Money Coach. So make sure you click on the link so that you can participate in the live training. And this is all on money rules, how to own your power and build your wealth. So once you click on there, you'll be able to join us, and also make sure you download your Focused on Success, your roadmap to growing your business. So it has been such a pleasure for me to share this time with you. Please do join us next week when we'll be continuing our conversation of money and happiness. Next week, we're going to do the third principle to increase our happiness with our money. But until then, if you enjoyed this video, please do like it. Please share it with other people so that they can use their money in a way that will increase their happiness as well. And until then, I want to wish you a life that is filled with meaning, purpose, and joy. Have a great day.